How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Fate Stay Night Remastered. We are in the middle of two lovely showdowns here to, I guess, wrap up this initial route here in the game. Shirou is still somehow alive. Saber is also somehow still alive, though she's just throwing herself at Gilgamesh until things somehow work out. That's usually the strat here, at least on Shirou's side. Things will eventually work out. My throat is burning. Every breath is like swallowing glass. I don't care. I would. Tears of frustration stream down my face. I might just burst from sheer anger before the curse can tear me apart. I push my body, forcing it to run. One hand goes behind my back. I grip the dagger I've been concealing this whole time. Yeah, that's actually true. I run. Kotomine sticks his hand into the waterfall behind him and draws out another lump of darkness. There's no more hesitation now. If I get my hands on Kotomine, he will regret what he's just said more than anything else. I still have a command spell in my left hand. I don't know if I'm alive or dead, but that is the proof, and I can feel the truth of it. As long as I still have my command spell, Saber's still with me. If she's still here, she must have defeated Gilgamesh and be headed to me right now. And if I don't greet her with open arms when that happens, well, I know her enough that she'll be mad. So I'm going to beat you here and now, to fulfill the promise I made to her. Darkness closes in on me. Kotomine releases a giant massive curse. My body begins to crumble, starting with the extremities. That's fun. I won't look away. If this is my role, I'm not done yet. A fault line splits space itself, so we're back in the other fight now. With a flash of light and a roar of wind, Aya releases a vortex of pure destruction. The sheer intensity prevents Saber from using her own noble phantasm, so she lowers her sword and lets herself sway as if collapsing. Is that how we want to approach that? The light draws near. Saber's too injured to dodge, and there's no shield capable of defending against Aya's attack. That furious dance of light and wind can only annihilate everything in its path. Nothing can stand up to Aya. It's an immutable fact. Both of them knew it to be true a few hours ago. For once, that astonished cry comes not from Saber, but from the Golden Knight wielding Aya. Aya continues to release its torrent of magical energy, unleashing a ravening beam of destruction. The Saber is on her feet, stepping into the light of Aya's power. Sheath time? Her silver armor screams. Cracks splinter every layer of magical energy protecting her. With not a second to lose, she closes the gap between herself and Gilgamesh. Alright. To counter Aya's destruction, Saber releases every drop of power at her command. Searching heat scorches the earth. I don't think that's right. The earth in all directions in a brilliant flash of light. Two titanically powerful swords clash, their power so vast it creates a visible border as the two struggle against each other. But is it all for nothing? Excalibur cannot beat Aya. Even if Saber risks her life and attacks without concern for the consequences, she can only push back just the smallest bit. The scales tilt in favor of Aya. and Excalibur's light weakens, pushing Saber back. The Golden Knight draws Aya back, but then sees his enemy's renewed reckless advance, so he pours yet more magical energy into Aya. There's no turning back now. All there is to do is use his full power to utterly annihilate Saber. There we go. Aya's segments spin faster, 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 reaching their maximum speed, and the light that envelops Saber cuts Excalibur down. But in the instant before that happens, Saber charges. A tiny opening created by Excalibur's power allows her to take a single step closer. In the instant she reaches that space, her noble phantasm appears. Sheath time, right? Darkness buffets Shirou as if he were caught in a wind tunnel. There is no avoiding or deflecting darkness that coats space itself. Those swallowed by the darkness can only be consumed by it. That is true. I have played through Kingdom Hearts. He's corroding from the fingertips inward. His legs kick at the air as if swimming. His outstretched arms are swallowed up in the black mud. His vision fails him. It's like being erased. Shirou feels himself shrinking, but he refuses to die. He tries not to look away, pours every ounce of strength he has into resisting. He fights the darkness covering him, the pain trying to melt his body, and the curse trying to dissolve his mind. It's all in vain. No human could resist this corruption, and yet he continues to move. His arm is still raised, held out, trying to grab something. But his heart is already broken. His thoughts are smothered in darkness, and soon it will consume him. But in that moment, why did he remember that voice? It's what we need to remember, though. It's what we need. A light in the darkness. The moment he realizes it's that light, everything runs in reverse. The switch flips. His thoughts gain speed, creating crackling sparks, and form the shape with astonishing speed. He murmurs the spell to begin projection. In that instant, it's complete, skipping every step of the manufacturing process. He didn't need to reproduce it from scratch. The shape had already been engraved onto his very soul. It had been a part of Shirou Emiya for so long. So long that he had perfectly memorized it. His fingertips, desperately reaching, move again. They grab hold of the object he created without concentration or spell casting. The world turns on its head, darkness eradicated by golden light. In Shirou's grasp, duplicated flawlessly is Saber's sheath. And so, as Aya's all-destroying light burns away everything in its path, Saber releases her own noble phantasm. They're both pulling out the same fucking sheath. That's crazy. What appears before her is, without question, the sacred sword sheath. The mystics which shroud it are unknown, but the sheath repels Aya's light. No, this is beyond simply defending its wielder. Instead, it cuts her off completely. The wall that keeps the filth of the outside world from Fairyland, a world that cannot be reached, forever isolated from the rest of the world. Saber is protected by the sheath of the sacred sword, and for a moment she exists apart from all reason and logic in this world. It is the greatest protection in the world. Nothing, not even the 5 magics, can pierce this perfect defense. And so the sheath is named Avalon. Avalon. It is the place King Arthur is said to have gone after dying, the utopia the king dreamed of, but could not yet reach. Gilgamesh sees the Grim Reaper raising its scythe. But it's too late. Aya won't stop rotating, and Gilgamesh can't retreat. How could he? Who could ever have believed an attack with so much magical energy, such unimaginable power, could ever be blocked? I mean, come on, you're coming at us with like every noble phantasm ever. We have to come up with some, you know, underhanded tricks of our own here. A streak of blue surges forward. Saber's armor is gone. She's shed her armor so that she could use its magical energy in her sword. Oh, smart. Oh, I'm loving this. Oh, it's the big moment. Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. Man, fuck Gilgamesh. The moment he takes the sheath, the darkness is dispelled. The darkness surrounding Shirou Emiya, the darkness that contaminated his body, fades all at once. But this should come as no surprise. The sacred sword sheath protects its owner. That filthy mud cannot possibly destroy the embodiment of the utopia the girl sought. He runs. And the instant the darkness is dispelled, he moves with all the speed of a comet. Honestly, there's still a lot of fucking questions with Shirou. There really is. Like, sure, we now know the answer behind his, you know, healing abilities. That's one thing, but there's still a whole lot to Shirou that we gotta question here. The priest so assured of his own strength, and the boy who could afford no such arrogance face off. It is but an instant, but that instant decides the battle. Shirou Emiya runs, sometimes stumbling onto all fours. In one hand, he holds the dagger. He scrambles forward on his hands and knees toward the priest. And we got him, too. Shirou doesn't stop. He thrusts the dagger of retribution into the priest's chest. Aren't we supposed to, like, say something? Like, we were supposed to say something, a chant. There's supposed to be something along with this, right? The priest turns slowly before he can leave. Shirou steps down on one foot to ground himself and turns in a circle using the momentum of his dash. He inverts himself like a top. He's gonna fucking punch him, isn't he? And he floods his left hand with magical energy. And like a whirlwind. Oh, okay. That works too. There we go. That's what it is. His magical energy pours into the Azoth blade, along with the word to trigger its release. Damn. Both battles ending at the same time. That's cool. And we got the new servant data too, which I'm sure is just Saber. It's in her noble phantasm, right? Where is it? It's not that. I think we've read through this. It's this here. Ever the distant utopia. So, it is a barrier. Protects one person, obviously. The ability of Excalibur's sheath. The third noble phantasm that was lost. The sheath of the holy sword was excavated in Cornwall by Einsburn and returned to its owner across the ages. In the legend of King Arthur, the true ability of the holy sword is the power of immortality that comes from this sheath. It has the ability to heal its owner's wounds and stop aging, but in actuality, it is what can be referred to as a mobile fortress that targets an individual. By unsheathing it and putting oneself in the home of the fairies, one can shut out any physical interference. It can even prevent interference from parallel worlds, an example of true magic. Wonder what all that means. Saber swings her golden sword. She must not have had the energy to push herself back up. Saber keeps her sword down and head down too. Gilgamesh stares wide-eyed at the knight as she cuts him in half. In the silence after, the wind whispers through the compound. There remains not a trace of the light that had flooded the area seconds ago. The two knights do not exchange words. They simply stand facing each other, as the battle ends. Gilgamesh sighs. He lifts a hand and traces a finger along her cheek, as if to check the knight. You're damn right she did. His golden armor begins to fade. The bloody king of heroes starts to disappear. His finger slips away from her. The arm he had raised to touch her falls weakly. I'll say. He clicks his tongue in displeasure. And then at the end... He smiles ironically and vanishes. And that's the last we'll ever see of him, right? Well, actually, in a way, kind of. We won't ever see, like, he shouldn't ever pop up in another Holy Grail War with any memories of these past 20 years or whatever. I guess past 10 years. Sorry, I doubled my math. Pale blue sparks flicker along the priest's form. They spread in all directions, from where the dagger protrudes from his chest. No flesh falls away, and there is no sign of bleeding. Even so, the battle comes to an end. He's not even looking at me. Instead, he stares down at the dagger in his chest in confusion. The wind is blowing. A gust of wind blows from the hollow overhead, muffling the sound around him. In the silence that follows, Kodamine's voice is low, mumbling. I'm not sure how long he was thinking. He takes a deep breath and finally moves, having been motionless from the moment I charged him and impaled him with the blade. Kodamine collapses. I watch it all unfold. Even on the brink of death, he spoke of himself as if he were talking about someone else. Finally, the priest sinks into that which he had summoned, the very thing he wished for. Okay, now what? And that is the end of Kirie Kodamine. Well, what do we do with the rest of this mess? The true end of a long battle. I mean, we still have a mess to clean up here, right? With the enemy defeated, only one task remains. The dark hollow in the sky. The mud had stopped pouring from it, but that eerie void continues to quicken. It's the Holy Grail, the omnipotent grail said to be given to the winner of this war. The wind howls. With Kodamine gone, the power binding Emiya vanishes. Emiya has been released from the hollow, and now she sleeps beside me. She doesn't seem to be in danger of dying. She'll probably wake up after we go home and have Tosaka look over her. Well, Tosaka's got her own problems, too. The war has ended. No one else will get hurt. We won't have to lose anyone else now. No more masters, and the servants will disappear now that their roles are over. I knew this was going to happen. I climbed those long stairs with her earlier. We've already said our goodbyes. All that's left is to bring the curtain down on this whole war. I look up at the hollow and wait. My heart is empty as the void. And then she appears. She walks straight towards me, looking no different than when we first met. She stops once we're close enough to touch each other. We neither ask about each other's well-being, nor offer any congratulations. This has already been decided. There's only one thing left to do. Saber starts walking forward. The strong winds coming from the hollow do not deter her. She approaches one step at a time. She's within range. She quietly readies her sword and looks up at the black hollow. I just watch from where I stand. I clench my fists so hard they bleed. I bite my lip, and I try to hold back the feelings fighting for expression. I try to burn the image of her into my mind. And then...
Master, 命令を。あなたの命がなければ、あれは破壊できない。
Well, we got one final command spell, don't we? Her back's still to me. She tells me to use my final command spell. When the Holy Grail is destroyed, Saber will disappear. No, since Saber will destroy the Holy Grail with her own hands, she won't have to become a servant. She only became a servant because she sought the Holy Grail. Destroying the Holy Grail should also void her contract, since she will have chosen to do it. The moment she destroys the Holy Grail, her life will end, but she will remain king forever.
Shirou, あなたの声で聞かせてほしい。
I hear Saber. Every time I hear her voice, I want to scream. I want to tell her not to go. I want to scream my real honest desire. I want her to stay. And yet, I can't ever say that. I love Saber. I want her to be happy more than anything else, and I want to be with her forever. But if I really love her, that's not what I should be doing. I love Saber for fighting her hardest, even when she was wounded. She gave up everything, and while she was torn apart, she still held to her conviction, even to the very end. If I think that is beautiful, if I think that is something worth protecting, then I can't destroy everything she stood for just for my own happiness. She was born a king, and that's how she lived. Nothing can change that from the moment she drew the sword and made her vow she was king. Nothing else. That is her conviction. She fought her battles until the very end, believing she was doing the right thing. The dream of a young girl named Altria. She abandoned her own life and chose to be king. She chose to fight, even when she was told that everything she does would go unrewarded. She still wielded the sword and kept to her vow as king. That lasted for many years. I can't do anything to tarnish the pride that she held to until her final moments. There we go.
その責務を果たしてくれ。
My voice is heavy with emotion. Oh, here we go. Oh, man. Light flares around us. The brilliant ray cuts the hollow in front of us in half, leaving no trace of it. But did we actually use the, command spell? Nothing remains. The mountain's summit has been blasted away, leaving only a smoldering wasteland behind. In the distance, the first rays of dawn light the sky. A glimmer of gold peeks over the horizon. My left hand hurts. The final command spell disappears. Oh, there we go. And then, I accept that it is finally over.
これで終わったのですね。
あ、これで終わりだ。もう何も残ってない。
そうですか。では私たちの契約もここまでですね。あなたの剣となり、敵を撃ち、近江を守った。この約束を果たせてよかった。
Yeah, we had some good times.
そうだな。セイバーはよくやってくれた。
I don't know what else to say. Saber is far away. I don't try to run to her. The sun rises. The wind starts to pick up. A golden glimmer shines, seeming to last forever. In it,
最後に一つだけ伝えないと。
I can hear the determination in her voice.
ああ。どんな。
I try to at least sound strong. Saber sways. She turns. Saber looks straight at me and says, her voice clear,
シロ、あなた
oh
を
man.
愛している。
There it is. She said it. The wind blows over the mountaintop. For a moment I close my eyes, blinded by the morning sun. And then I open them again. She's gone, isn't she? Aw, man, don't do that shit. Come on. We didn't need that. I don't think I was surprised. I just had a feeling. Our goodbye was always going to be like this. All I see is the wasteland. Saber is gone, carried off by the gusting wind. Just like when she appeared, she left with grace, without a trace.
本当にお前らしい。
There are no regrets in my voice. Every memory, both of what I've lost and of what I have gained, remains in my heart. And I'll keep them all there, forever. I look out at the rising sun, hoping I never forget any of this, that none of it fades from my mind for a long time to come. I watch the morning glow spreading over the distant land below. It reminds me of the golden fields that she had fought on. I think we've got our first ending here, boys and girls. Maybe. Perhaps. What do we got? Epilogue. Ooh, okay. I mean, technically, yeah. We're at the end of this lovely initial story here to Fate Stay Night, which is exciting. Do I have to click something? I guess I had to click. Okay. I thought it was just going to, go on its own. I hear a creaking sound. It's the old heavy rusted door of the shed opening. Light pours in through the crack in the door. It's enough to wake me up.
先輩、起きてますか?
Sakura! I don't even need to look to know who's approaching. It must be that time already. I take a deep breath and open my eyes. Hey, sorry your brother is, like, completely dead. Like, he's never coming back whatsoever.
そうみたいだ。おはよう、さくら。起こしに来てくれてサンキューな。い
え、お礼を言われることじゃありません。先輩ならきちんと起きてくれるって分かってましたから。
そっか。けど、ならなんでわざわざ起こしに来てくれたんだ？
わざわざじゃありません。今朝は先輩を起こしたくなって、いつもより30分も早起きしたんです。今日は特別な日ですから。
Then I remember. That's right, it is a special day. What is today?
さくら、聞くまでもないと思うんだが、藤音はまだ来てないよな。
はい、内村先生はまだ。
Aw, man, Ilya's still around?
イリアちゃんは先に来てます。
I knew it. If Ilya's here, then that can mean only one thing.
まずい。さくら、すまないんだけど、朝食の支度を頼む。俺、ひとっ走りして藤音を叩き起こしてくる。
Wait, she's staying here now?
はい。ご苦労様です、先輩。
Luckily, I was up late last night, so I'm still in my work clothes. I'm glad I don't need a change to head out.
10分で戻るから、あとはよろしく頼む。はい、
任せちゃってください。あれ？シロ起きてる。
Okay, so why are you here?
な、今起きた。
I mean, it's great to see that she's back to, her normal. Not dying and being all freakish. I pat Ilya on the shoulder and head to the front entrance.
やられた。もう、シロは私が起こしに行くって言ったでしょ。さくら！
Ilya fumes at Sakura as she stomps over to the shed. This sort of thing is hardly unusual anymore, so this is just the new norm in the area. Ilya said that she wasn't going to return to her home country, so I talked to Fujine about taking her in. She was vehemently opposed, and suggested that she would take in Ilya at her house. And since then, Ilya has been staying at the Fujimura house, And of course, she's been coming over with Fujine mornings and nights. Okay, there we go. It goes without saying that they're coming for breakfast and dinner. The two have been living together for 2 months now, and they're practically joined at the hip. So we were in February, it's now April. When I pass near the shed wall, I hear Sakura and Ilya talking. Ilya is pretty blunt, so I thought she wouldn't get along with Sakura, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They're like an odd couple. Ilya is energetic, while Sakura is more laid back. It seems they get along in spite of their differences. In fact, Sakura has regained her usual cheer thanks to Ilya. Ever since Sakura's older brother Shinji disappeared and was listed as missing, she'd stopped smiling. Yeah. She must have sensed that he had something to do with the mass coma incident at school. There we go. And fretting over Shinji, Sakura shut herself away. It was Ilya who forced her to get over it, and Sakura is her normal cheerful self whenever she's with Ilya.
Sakura, 笑えるようになったよな。
Maybe she sees her as a bit of a sibling? I'm truly happy about that. Sakura is most herself when she's smiling that gentle smile of hers. Okay.
ひどいよ、イリアちゃん。何があっても起こしてって臨時ボーナスまであげたのに。
Fujine is in tears as she shovels breakfast into her mouth.
当然よ。タイガーを待ってたら私まで遅れるし、給金分は義理を果たしたわ。あれ以上の働きを要求するなら、臨時じゃなくて基本給をアップさせることね。
私だけじゃなくおじいさまからももらってるくせに、どうしてこの子は主戦度なのかしら。若い頃からお金にうるさいと周りの子に嫌われちゃうぞ。
嫌われて結構よ。好きな人以外なら何を思われても関係ないもの。それよりタイガー、貸したお金ちゃんと返してよね。
Uh-oh.
給料日5日前だったんでしょ。
Oh boy.
なんでそんなこと知ってるのよ、あなた。
タイガに聞いたわ。お望みなら明細まで話してあげてよ。
Who? Ilya grins wryly. Unlike her more friendly relationship with Sakura, Ilya and Taiga are practically cats and dogs. Ilya gets really mean with Fujine. Even her smile reminds her of a certain someone's smirk.
返済は明日までね。
Oh, I wonder who.
できなかったらタイガのお小遣いから引いていくから。
おじいさま、そんなことまであなたに話したの？
ええ、お昼はずっと一緒だもん。タイガね、タイガより可愛いって褒めてくれたわ。
Okay, I get it now because she's staying with her. Okay. I get it.
どうしてくれるのよ、シロ。この子とんだ悪魔っ子じゃない。このままじゃ藤村組が乗っ取られるわ。
I think she has the capability to do it. More importantly, why does a grown woman still get an allowance from her grandfather? Good question.
いってらっしゃい、シロ。今日は早いんでしょ。ならここで待ってるからすぐに帰ってきてね。
努力する。留守番よろしくな、イリア。
いっそのことここの子になっちゃえ、バカ。
Fujine sulks as she hides behind my back.
はいはい、タイガも気を引き締めなさいよね。外でシロに迷惑かけちゃダメなんだから。
Ilya shrugs off Taiga's comment. Looks like Fujine isn't really in a position to push back against Ilya.
じゃあ先に行ってるけど、のんびり歩いて遅刻しちゃダメよ、シロ。
I mean, you can give us a ride. Okay, bye. Fujine lets out an engine roar and disappears like a speeding bullet. She got her driver's license last month. I was going to say, I don't remember any of her riding around. Since then, she's been late for school a lot less often. But now she has a new nickname. Rocket Diver. Oh, she's the only one who doesn't know about it. I stretch and take a deep breath. Sakura already left for school. She ate a pretty big bowl of rice this morning, so she must be pretty driven today. Today's a big day for the Kyoto Club. Now that she's the vice captain, Sakura must be really determined and enthusiastic today.
さて、 それじゃ。
Go to school too. Today is April 7th. Schools are starting the new school year, and the season has gone from the cold of winter to spring. So that's what's important about today. It's a whole new school year. God damn. Look at this. We got the fucking petals falling. That's beautiful. It's been 2 months. I feel like a lot has changed since she left, but the changes all seem minor. Winter is over and it's finally spring. That's the only thing that's changed. I might have grown and matured, but I'm not a different person or anything. So, not that much has changed. Shirou Emiya is still clumsily stumbling along in Kiritsugu's footsteps.
おはよう、エミヤくん。朝から顔を合わせるなんて奇遇ね。
Well, nice to see that you're still alive.
おっす。今日もいい天気だな、遠坂。
I wave in greeting.
けど奇遇か？ここ最近よくニアミスするだろう。まあいや、そりゃ今までこう頻繁に出くわすことはなかったけど。
I guess we can make the assumption that she's moved on back home. No reason for her to stay with us.
あなたね。
Tosaka narrows her eyes and glares at me, unhappy about how I phrased that. I don't think getting angry so early in the morning is good for you.
遠坂、もしかして登校時間変えたのか？前はもうちょっと遅かっただろう。
そんなことないわよ。今まで顔を合わせなかったのは空前でしょ。知ってる？エミヤくんと私の家、きっかり正反対の位置にあるの。だから普通に起きて普通に坂を降りれば、ここで顔を合わせるのは当然ってわけ。
へえ、それは初耳だ。そっか、それなら確かに。
That's pretty coincidental, actually. Wait a minute. That's only possible if our daily schedules are the same. For Tosaka to reach this intersection at this hour, she'd have to wake up at 6 in the morning. But that's...
遠坂、お前眠くない？
I just come right out and say it.
何よその言い分。私は眠くもないし無理もしてないわ。なんだってそんなこと聞くわけ？あなた。
いや、お前朝弱かったから。寝不足で学校に行くと化けの皮が剥がれるぞ。授業中に居眠りなんかしたら大変だ。下手に起こそうものなら寝起きの悪魔みたいな顔した遠坂が暴れるんだからな。
Like, who dares disturb my slumber kind of terrifying.
そんなことしないわよ。たかだか30分の早起きで不覚なんて取るものですか。
ほら早起きしてるじゃないか、やっぱり。
Got her.
もう人の起床時間なんてどうでもいいでしょ。つまんない詮索をしてる暇があるならさっさと学校に行きなさい。
She's so great. She is honestly my favorite character out of all the characters in this story. Like, there's so many great characters. I'm glad that I gave a lot of them the opportunity to, you know, introduce themselves. We got to see a bit of them, and there's still more side characters that I'm sure we'll get to know a little bit more of as we go in other routes, and maybe there's going to be more characters that have not been introduced yet. I mean, there's obviously the servants, masters that we have not seen. I mean, there's a whole lot of different directions things can go in, but Rena's my number one right now. I have to admit it, guys. Tosaka huffs and looks away. She has a point, so I'm going to let this go and just resume our walk to school. Yeah, no harm, no foul there. No issue. Damn, it's breezy or something. We walk up the hill. The townscape below is bloomed into a springtime scene. The breeze is pleasant, and the leaves of the cherry blossom tree planted near school dance on the wind from time to time. It makes me smile.
何？今週はほとんどバイトなの？まあ、エミヤくんの時間だから文句はないけど、そんなんで体壊さない？
ね？いや、今日ぐらいは休みをもらったよ。弓道部で新入部員の歓迎会をやるっていうから、イリアを連れて遊びに行こうかなと。
なんかさりげにすごい度胸してるわよね、あなたって。平気な顔してイリアを学校に連れて行くあたり大物だわ。
We'll get around it somehow. I
なんかま
guess.
ずいか？イリアだって 暇つぶしになるって喜ぶと思うんだが。
Yeah, what is Ilya even up to other than, just trying to stick around? Like, she has to be doing something during the day.
まずいわよ。まずいけど、そういうことなら私もお邪魔しようかな。イリアがいるなら退屈しないし、何より危なっかしくって放っておけない。
I'm grateful to hear her say that. Tosuka understands Ilya much better than Sakura or I do. It's not just that she periodically checks in on Ilya's health. Tosuka and Ilya are both proper mages. Ilya still doesn't fully understand that she needs to hide the fact that she's a mage, so Tosuka's been a great mentor for her in that regard. And so things are starting to settle in their respective places. The new priest the church dispatched has already repaired most of the damage from the Holy Grail War, and we've more or less gone back into our ordinary lives. There are things lost that we can never get back, yes, but the wounds are slowly healing, and I should be glad to know that some of the regrets I felt before are slowly fading.
けど、意外だったな。
Tosuka mutters under her breath. She looks down at the town, her tone serious.
意外だったって何が？
私、シロはもっと落ち込むと思ってた。しばらくは立ち直れないだろうなって思ってたのよ。
Maybe it's acceptance. You can prepare yourself for something so when things do hit, as you expect them to, it's not too impactful to yourself, to your health, to your mentality, all of that. She's talking about the girl who's not with me now. It's been 2 months, and this is the first time we've brought up the golden-haired girl.
そうだな。俺もそうなるだろうって思ってた。その後のことなんて考えるだけでどうかしそうだった。
けど、蓋を開けてみれば、シロったら今まで通りだったでしょ。落ち込むどころの話じゃなくて、次の日にはもうケロリとしてた。その時にね、こいつ大丈夫かなとも思ったのよ。うまく言えないんだけど、次の日にはあっさり事故で死んじゃうような雰囲気だった。
なんだそりゃ。なんで平気なのにあっさり死ぬんだよ。
そういうこともあるの。人間ってのはね、何かの手違いで一生涯の目標を叶えちゃうと、それでぽっくりいくものなのよ。もう生きるのはいいやと思った途端、赤信号なのに車が突っ込んできたり、あっさりと階段から落ちたりするんだから。
Huh. That's a little hard to get my head around. I guess she's talking about dying after living a full life or resting in peace, maybe.
だから私はそれが心配だった。ああいう時はね、いっそ派手に落ち込んでくれた方が周りは安心するものなの。
なんだ。じゃあ落ち込んでたら慰めてくれたのか？
まさか。背中に蹴り入れて1日で立ち直らせてやったわよ。それができなくて残念だって話。
I'm sure that's exactly all there is to it. She turns away displeased. It's so funny I can't help bursting into laughter.
何よ、おかしい？
Little bit.
いや、とにかく遠さからしい厳しいセリフだったんで安心した。
I have to admit though, I am really happy that after everything, these two can remain friends. We continue walking, enjoying the spring sunshine. The hilly road is long, and it looks as if it continues into the endless blue sky. Then she brings something else up, surprisingly casually.
じゃあもう未練はないんだ。セイバーがいなくなってもさ。
I'm sure there's regrets. Her eyes are on the sky as she speaks.
ああ、未練なんてきっとない。
Yeah, there's the probably. I mean, there could have been another way. There could have been a different solution. There could have been many different things that could have gone down during the course of the story. But at the end of the day, based on the decisions made, based on all we knew and how things went down, this was probably the best way to go about it, to the best of our knowledge. I'm not trying to put up a front. I even surprised myself with how at peace I sound. Nothing was left unsaid, so I don't regret anything. Everything went into the moment we said goodbye. What I wanted to do, Was she dreamed? Maybe we were both stubborn, and maybe I really should have grabbed her hand and made her dream come true. But there was something we both felt was beautiful, and we both desperately tried to protect it until the very end. I have no regrets. As she properly ended her time, I can't let myself be stuck in those memories forever.
ほー、シローの中では決着をつけたってことね。だから落ち込むこともなく、思い出に浸ることもないってわけ。
けど今も夢に見る。これから先もずっとあいつのことを思い出すよ。
And I can't blame him for that.
いつか記憶が薄れて、あいつの声もあいつの仕草も忘れていく。それでもこんなことがあったと、セイバーっていうやつが好きだったってことだけはずっと覚えてる。
Tosaka doesn't say a thing, but for some reason she looks elated. She's practically skipping now.
どうしたんだよ、トサカ。そんなに急いで。なんかあったのか?
Yeah, I don't understand why she's all happy all of a sudden here.
ただ早く学校に着きたいなって。さあ、そういうわけだからシローも急ぐ。のんびりしてると置いてくわよ。
She turns around and starts to run up the hill.
なんだあいつ。朝弱いくせに無理して。
Maybe she was worried, and now she knows that there is no reason to worry. All is good. I grumble and then sling my bag onto my shoulder and run to catch up. It's only 7:30 in the morning. It's too early for students who aren't involved in any club activities, but I guess there's nothing wrong with getting to school early. I run up the hilly road that seems to stretch into the sky, and I reach the school earlier than usual. Today is the first day of the school year. If I want to celebrate, I need to shake off old memories. Remnants of my memory will never go away. But I still need to go on, even if the emptiness in my heart makes me cry. It's a beautiful backdrop here. The blue sky is off in the distance. It feels so close. But even if I reached out, I can never grasp it. I've looked at the stars before. There are unreachable stars and unfulfilled wishes. Nothing of ours remains behind. So, someday my memories of her, even the image of her face, will disappear. And yet, even if I can't ever reach her, something will remain in our hearts. There may be nothing physical left, but we both shared time together and looked up at the same things. If I can remember that, I can believe that we're still together, even across such a great distance. Some things are bound to disappear, but others never will. So I'm going to keep running. If I push far enough, I might one day reach what I was aiming for. The new beginnings of spring, after the end of a harsh winter. I head up the hill under the same blue sky that she looked up and saw. Is that the end of our epilogue? What are we, whoa, the battle is over. This is her final battlefield, the battle that split her country in half. Excuse me, jeez. The battle that split her country in half and ended with the king's victory. The night runs to her. The battle is over. The blood-red sunset has faded, and now the darkness of night covers the battlefield. The hill is littered with corpses and curses. All that resentment tries to drag the survivors down with it. Through it all, the knight runs, breathless. He grips his horse's reins as the wounded white steed does its best to keep up. The knight and the white horse are the only survivors. Draped over the horse's back is the wounded king.
Oh, Asao,
Okay, so we've gone back. The knight must be wounded himself, but he runs with all of his might. The king he serves is on the verge of death. Even after defeating the rival king in single combat, his king sustained a fatal wound. The knight knows that there is no hope here. His king will die soon. He calls desperately to his king. Or perhaps the knight truly believes that his king is immortal. So long as they have the guidance of the sacred sword, the king will never perish. With labored breathing, the knight crosses the mountain of corpses and heads to a forest that has not yet been stained in blood. He knows of his king's immortality, so he believes that if he can only escape this cursed battlefield and lead the king somewhere pure, the king's wounds will be healed. Or rather, he hopes. Unlike the other knights, he always believed in his king. The king had always been isolated at court, shunned by the knights and feared by the people. But the knight was proud of the young king, who never revealed any personal feelings no matter the situation, and always remained idealistic. The knight did not serve his country, and that is why he entrusted his sword to his king, strove to aid his king, and rose to the position of the king's personal guard despite his young age. The king whose true face can never be seen, the boy tried to be fair and selfless, and did not allow his personal feelings to interfere with his duties. Rather, he had hoped that if he could someday get close enough, he could see his king's real face. That is his greatest desire. He wants so much to see his king's true face, not the stern countenance the king bore on the battlefield, but his king's true face, a smiling, laughing human face. That moment would surely come in court, when the king is relieved of all duty. Even the most perfect king cannot be on edge all the time. The knight was proved wrong though. What he learned defied his expectations. He reached the rank of Imperial Guard and stood guard at the king's side. He guarded the king more closely than any knight and always observed the king's behavior. But the moment he wished for never came. His king never smiled. Why does that make him so angry? The king should radiate glory, having achieved such success. But never once did the king seem at ease, even for a moment. He couldn't stand it. He wanted to believe this shouldn't happen, and so he wished for his king to be rewarded with light. That is yet to be accomplished. The king still remains solitary, and so the knight refuses to accept his king's death. It cannot end here. If it does, this great king will never be rewarded.
お、今はこちらに。すぐに兵を呼んでまいります。
Once they reach the forest, the knight leans his king's body against a large tree. It is a race against time. Even riding hard on horseback, it will take half a day to bring back the troops they left at the harbor. Any who see the king now would know that the king will not last until dawn.
どうか、それまで辛抱を。必ず兵を連れて戻ります。
The knight bows to his half-conscious king and returns to his white steed.
ベリビエル
Before he can leave, the king he thought unconscious calls out to him.
おう、意識が戻られましたか。
少し夢を見ていた。
Yeah, I'm sure you were. The king's voice is faint, but there is warmth in it.
夢ですか。
The knight's voice is imploring. The king's life is balanced on the tip of a blade. The darkness will surely take his king if the knight does not respond.
そうだ。あまり見たことがないのでな。貴重な体験をした。
それは。では、どうぞお気遣いなくお休みください。私はその間に兵を呼んでまいります。
A faint gasp. The knight's words must have been unexpected.
おう、何かご無礼な点でも。
いや、そなたの言い分に驚いた。夢とは、目を覚ました後でも見れるものなのか。
Now it's the knight's turn to be surprised. For a moment he is at a loss for words. At length he responds, though he knows there is no truth to what he says.
はい。強く思えば、同じ夢を見続けることもできるでしょう。
I haven't. What the fuck? It's not possible. A dream is a fleeting thing, not something to return to. Even so, the knight lies to his king. I was gonna say, there's no way. It is the first and last time he will do such a thing.
そうか。 そなたは博識だな、ベリビエール。
The king's soft voice is admirable. The king's head remains tilted down, not looking up at the knight. The king breathes so softly that it can be barely audible.
ベリビエール、我が命権を持て。
The knight receives his king's final order.
よいか。この森を抜け、あの血塗られた丘を越えるのだ。その先には深い湖がある。
There we go.
それは
The knight knows what that means. The sword in the lake. To relinquish the sword that had protected the king and served as proof of kingship would mean the end of his king.
行くのだ。ことを成し得たのならばここに戻り。
The king does not take back orders. The knight takes the sacred sword and goes over the hill, his indecision weighing heavily on him. Is he gonna see some crazy shit? And so, 3 times the knight hesitates to follow his king's command. The lake looms in front of him, but he cannot throw the sword away. Doing so means his king will disappear. The knight's unwillingness to part with his king stays his hand, and so he returns to his king. Once again, the king orders him to throw the sword into the lake. When the knight lies and claims that he's thrown the sword into the lake as ordered, his king simply replies, "Do as I have commanded you." To defy the king's order is a great sin for a knight, but he has already done so twice. Each time he stands before the lake, he hesitates at the thought of losing his king. No more. When the knight realizes he cannot alter his king's decision, on his 3rd visit, he hurls the sword into the lake. The sacred sword returns to the lake. A white hand emerges from the water and catches the blade, and the sacred sword vanishes from the world. And the knight finally accepts it, the end of his king. The responsibilities that had so long burdened the knight finally come to an end. By the 3rd time he crosses the hill, the first rays of morning light touch the forest. The ruins of the battlefield now distant. There is no trace of the bloody battle. Only a thin haze covers the hill.
湖に剣を投げ入れてまいりました。剣は湖の婦人の手に。
Yeah, that it is. That it is. At the knight's words, the king's eyes open.
そうか。ならば胸を張るがよい。そなたはそなたの王の命を守ったのだ。
The knight gives a silent nod to that voice, knowing the speaker is on the brink of death. It's all over. Turmoil will continue to grip the nation. The wars will not end. The day of ruin will come soon. But the king's battle is over, because he, or rather she, fulfilled her role till the very end. Aw, man. That's some really good fucking artwork, actually. The light fades. With everything done, the last of the strength that had kept her going is spent.
すまないな、ベリビエール。今度の眠りは少し長く。
She closes her eyes, slowly, as if going to sleep. The morning light spills through the treetops. As the king drifts to her eternal rest, a hush falls over the forest. The knight continues his vigil over the fallen king, the king he wished for, the solitary king attended by only a single knight. And he finally sees the look he had hoped for on his king's face, a peaceful sleep. In her last moments, the king finally finds the peace that had so long eluded her. The knight is overjoyed. The knight thanks whoever gave his king such comfort and watches the king with a sense of pride. I do like this. I do like that Saber's story, or I guess in this case, King Arthur's or Altria's, we actually do get closure on that. You know, history will continue forward. The heavens are distant and the clear sky is blue. The battle is truly over.
見ているのですか、朝を。
His words ride the wind. The sleeping king appears to sink into the endless blue.
夢の続きを。
A distant dream takes her. Yep, get ready to be Saber again. Somewhere, you know? But this time, as an official heroic spirit, you know? I'm not reading all that, because I know I'm not going to be able to read it as fast as I should. But I read it in my head. I did. I read really fast in my head. Wowzers. Man, what a journey that the first route of this title has brought us through, you know? To be here, to finally have finished the initial route, it's beautiful, it is. This is a lot of fun. And there's more fun to be had. There is. There really is. Sitting here watching the credits was nice, and a fantastic way to soak it all in. I guess I have to click here. I saw something there. We have an achievement. We completed Saber's ending. So there we go. All right. So I guess now it's just going through and starting another route. I actually have no idea how the route system works here necessarily. I'm getting kind of a Chaos Head, Chaos Child vibe where now that we've done the initial route, or if you want to call it the common route, now we can go back through, make specific choices in order to trail off into other routes and get different endings. But I feel like it's going to be a lot more, a lot deeper than just like, you know, a short story that will just take a few episodes or whatever. No, like we're really going to be going deep with it into totally different directions with the story here. So no idea how that all works out. Admittedly, I don't even know how I should approach it all. If I should be looking up a guide at this point, or if I should just be winging it. Yeah, I don't know. But yes, the playthrough will continue. I was going to do a bit saying, well, this is the finale, see ya, but I always label in my thumbnails which is the finale. So if you guys know my format, you'll know that this is not the finale. We are far from, I'm pretty sure. There's a lot more to come here. But guys, this was so much fun. I literally came into this series not knowing a single thing. I just knew, actually, you know what? The only thing I knew was that Saber was like in every anime whatsoever. I think I've brought this up before, but like, you just always see Saber, you know? And then I would hear references here and there from the series about Rin being like the OG tsundere or whatever. And that's probably it, actually. I don't know. I'm sure there's like bits and pieces, the memes. Apparently we came across a meme a couple episodes ago. The people die when they're killed or whatever it is from the fan translations all those years ago. We didn't get to see that here. I wish we did. That would have been fantastic. Probably would have made me enjoy this a whole lot more, you know? Just kidding. But it would have been funny regardless. I would have loved to have read that. That would have just, you know, confused the shit out of me. Regardless, I came into this really not knowing anything. I wondered if I should be watching, you know, any of the anime or whatever, and then, you know, this came out, and I thought, all right, I'll just do a one-off, see how it goes, and the reception was beautiful. So I did a little bit more because I was also, you know, kind of interested in this and having fun recording it. When we got done with the prologue, I just wanted to keep going, and people wanted to see more. So just everything was aligned really well there, and it's just been such an enjoyable experience so far. And even with everything going on in my life right now and how I had to kind of step away from recording for a bit, I wanted to find a way to get back to recording. So after a little over a month of not being able to record, I basically just found one of the sketchiest ways I've ever recorded something, and I made it work, you know? I somehow made it work because I wanted to get back into Fate. and now I'm on a less sketchy setup, and now I'm just happy to have been able to finish off this route. Like, I'm happy that I don't have to leave things open-ended for a longer period of time. That would have killed my patience for sure. I am pretty patient to a degree, but I wanted to see what else was going to happen here, because there are spoilers afoot, and I'm going to notice them a lot more now that I know the characters, I know the story, I'm getting to learn the universe a little bit more, so stuff like that. But thank you all for tuning in so far. Honestly, you guys have been fantastic to have along for the ride. I love recording these big visual novels and having people along for the ride to help me out, because I'm an idiot. And you guys also kind of chip in with whatever knowledge you have and help me stay on the right track, or, you know, allow me to get onto the wrong track or whatever and watch me get a bad ending. So it's good fun. It really is. But that being said, I'll figure out what we'll be doing next. If there's a specific order I need to be going in, or if there's just a guide to follow or whatever, I'll try to be figuring that all out. But of course, if you guys have any suggestions, by all means, and I'll see whatever I'm gonna do. But I'll see what works best, I suppose. And I don't know if there's anything. I guess we could pull up the flow chart. So here's everything that we've experienced so far, all the way to, where is it? Did we go? Okay, we went past the 14th, and here's the end. I mean, things get a little crazy here. There's more choices we could have made that I think would have just brought us to the bad end. I'm pretty certain that we would have just gotten a bad end there by making choices other than, I guess, getting the sheath out of Shirou. I am curious of what else, there is to see in terms of like the other directions, if there's some bad endings we could have gotten that I just totally missed or something. I don't know. Let's see. There was some new servant data, actually. I think I saw something pop up there at the very end. I don't know what else it would be. I'm not certain whatsoever, because it's definitely not under Saber. Archer, previous Archer, I think we have everything on him. I want to say, at least. I could be completely wrong. You know what? Hero info. No, we've read the hero info before. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what changed there. Maybe it was a weapon? Did weapon data change, maybe? I don't think so. We read about the Azoth blade. We know about the sheath. I'm not even seeing the sheath here, but I guess it's not necessarily a weapon. Yeah, I don't know what changed. Actually, hold on. There's an ending list here. I'm curious about that. Okay, so there's 5 endings total. So we got the true end, the fate end. So I guess that confirms my question before I even ask it. Yes, this is, I guess, the actual ending of the visual novel. So there's not like a common route like what you'd see in Chaos End and Chaos Child, then go dick around with some other endings for a while, then you get the true ending at the very end of it all. But here's all the bad endings that I got. All right, let's see here. We got 3, 6, and 7, so a back-to-back. 9, 11, and 14. 14 was slated to be the last one, so I missed a couple here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bad endings out of the 14 that I was able to miss. And there's something popping up here. I can kind of see that there's a little something or other there coming up. So there's 4 other endings to get. So there's obviously, well, we've got some heroines to chase after here in the story. There's Rin, there's Sakura. Who are the other 2? I don't know. It might not actually just be, all right, we're going after the women. There might be emphasis on Shirou. There might be emphasis on somebody else. I don't know. So, if I look up a guide, I'm going to be finding out real quick. I mean, it'll probably state who is who, but we'll get that all figured out, I guess, as we approach the next episode. So fingers crossed as I'm recording this. Not even the previous episode had released yet. I'm kind of recording in advance because there's some sicknesses going around right now, and my parents both got sick. My dad's recovering. My mom just got it. And because I live in the same household as them, I fear I'm next. So it's possible that I am getting sick. I do feel a little soreness in the throat, though I think that's just me talking a lot, as I tend to do. So I recorded in advance just in case I got sick. So I will probably take a few days break from recording all of this, allow this episode to come out and see what you guys have to say, and then eventually get back into recording, since this is really the only thing that I have available to confidently record on a temporary setup. I am still on a temporary setup, not back on the permanent one. We'll see what happens. But guys, thank you all for tuning in and watching, I guess it's 45 episodes that made up our first route of Fate Stay Night Remastered. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and joining for this lovely journey. And honestly, if you guys have gone through Fate already, then I guess this doesn't, go for you. But if you have not gone through Fate and you're like me, support the people that made this a reality. Buy the game on Steam and, play through it yourself, because I don't know if I'm going to be collecting everything in this title. So if there's more that you want to see that I'm just not going to be able to show, there you go. Support those that made this a reality. Fate Stay Night Remastered so far has been a fantastic time. I really wish I started recording this whenever the game released, so I can see all the bugs and stuff. Actually, I think there was a major spoiler or something that would just pop up in the very beginning, so I don't know. At least I got a double Kodomine. At least that happened a few episodes ago. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and what I've recorded so far of the playthrough. If you have enjoyed this episode and everything so far, be sure to leave a like, subscribe so you guys are ready for more. There will be more. We are going through the other routes, I promise. Eventually we will. We'll eventually get through all of them. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.